that monthly niche training is actually to teach you new niches, not that you have to try to pursue every single one, but to help to try to save you some research and learning time when you are wanting to expand into a new niche. So I really recommend building smaller websites, tackling smaller niches at a time, and that monthly niche training in the member area is intended to be used to help to save you time to get started on one of those new niches. However, the niche training itself is somewhat general in terms of it's talking about the niche as a whole, and it will often be directing you how to break down that niche into a variety of different sub-niches. So the point is to help you to brainstorm so you can actually pick a more defined sub-niche that you would actually want to try to go after. So you wouldn't want to try to build a website to tackle the entire niche that I'm covering in my niche training, but basically look at the niche training and ask yourself, what small area of this niche could I target on a single website to the point where I could actually present enough information to really cover that small sub-niche without overloading myself with a ton of work. So just as a wild example, if I were to do niche training for, say, the pet niche, if you tried to build a website about pets and you tried to cover everything, you would either fall short in providing enough information to accurately cover that niche, or you would simply find yourself overwhelmed with the amount of work that you would need to do to actually provide enough information. So you want to pick something very, very defined within that broad niche. So you can actually build maybe a 20, upwards of possibly a 50-page website about that sub-niche. And you basically want to be providing more information on that sub-niche than almost anybody else that's out there. So does that answer your question, Mohammed, as far as tackling the niches with the niche training? You want to use it as a guide to get to a closely defined sub-niche that you can actually cover with maybe a 20 to 50-page website. And by being able to completely cover a sub-niche that you're targeting on your website, if you think about it from Google's perspective, if you look at the topic pets and you go out there and you look at all the different websites that are out there on the internet having to do with pets, and you figure out all the different topics that are out there having to do with pets, if you needed to choose a website that was the most relevant for a topic like pets, you would then look for something that covered as many of those different areas as possible, all in one single website. So when you're covering a really broad niche like pets, for one single person, it becomes a nearly impossible task to provide enough content on your website to actually put your site in contention with all the other sites out there that are tackling that same niche. And this is in the eyes of the search engine again. So then when you're narrowing it down to that closely defined subniche, you get to avoid a lot of that competition, because then in the search engine's eyes, when it looks for sites that are covering that one subniche, it might find the websites that are covering the broad topic, and they just happen to have a little bit of content about that subniche. But in terms of complete websites that are all about that one subniche, your site is much more likely to be among the top contenders. It might look at an authority site like Wikipedia, for example, and say, okay, well, you know, Wikipedia is great and all that, but it only has one page or a couple of pages of content. And here's an entire website about just this one topic, and it's got 20 to 50 pages, and it's covering a wide variety of the different topics within that subniche. So that's essentially what I'm looking to get down to when I'm selecting a niche, and so that monthly niche training is intended to teach you about a new niche itself, to give you some preliminary product research, some review videos that you can use, which you would want to be using that on your own website. Those aren't videos that you would go and take to YouTube to upload, for example. It's just more content for your site itself. So then you use the niche training to narrow down your selection there. Let's see, Barbara is asking, if I add my Amazon store to my website as my site/store, do I need to declare it as a new site to Google Analytics, or will the expanded sitemap that I submit take care of everything? The expanded sitemap should take care of everything, Barbara, in that kind of a situation. The one thing I would really recommend to do is just to make sure your main website then links up to your store and vice versa. That way, as long as you're providing a link in there, Google will end up following that link and indexing the new site. You do not have to set it up as a new site in Google Analytics, though, if it is in a subfolder type of situation. Barbara is asking, what is my take on PBNs? PBN is a private blog network. Do they relate to the small niche sites that I am talking about? PBNs are actually what I would consider to be a bit of a sensitive area these days. Google did knowingly crack down on PBNs over the last, I want to say, a year to 2 years or something like that. A private blog network is really more defined as being a site where basically not normal traffic is viewing it and clicking on your link. They're more set up to be link farms, essentially. So in that regard, my personal take on PBNs is to actually avoid using them. However, there are some blog networks that are not private blog networks. And if you can get connected into one of those that is relational, especially with the niche that you're trying to target, then you can get a lot of benefit from those. The main thing you need to consider is basically whether the traffic that is on a website if that is naturally occurring traffic, people typing in the website address, people going to Google and finding their website, if you can then get, say, your website feed submitted and accepted to be published on one of those websites, that can be hooking up with a blog network, essentially, that is something I'd consider to be beneficial. So if you can find a relational niche website to connect up with in that kind of a situation, they are definitely beneficial. But as far as the niche sites that I was talking about before, I think the ultimate goal of a private blog network is more about search engine power over essentially sharing content with readers. But if you can hook up with a situation where it is sharing your content with readers of another website or even a network of other websites, I do consider that to be a beneficial situation, as long as it's not intended to deceive search engines, which I believe the intention of a private blog network is to deceive. Gina, that's a good question. She's asking, do I get product samples to review, and how do I go about getting them? Personally, I do not do that. However, I really like that idea. I have purchased products myself to review. One thing that you can kind of do as far as that goes, with if you have to buy the product yourself, instead of just targeting whatever niche you might try to research, try going after products that you're already buying for yourself or for your family. For example, come Christmas time, if you have children, you likely get them a big present each year. You can then turn that into a product review and actually making it tax deductible then. And so while you're still paying for the products, they're products you would have already bought and were going to buy anyways, whether you did the review or not on them. However, I might try to give that a shot. I believe if you have some decent affiliate sales records, that you could potentially approach either manufacturers or specific vendors on Amazon and, you know, say, hey, here's my credentials, give them some information to back it up, give them some contact information so they could even reach you on the phone, for example. And I think you could get a larger supplier, somebody who's looking to move some decent volume of a product. I think you could talk them into giving you some product samples. You could also try to go directly through the manufacturer. Sometimes when they are releasing new products or something like that, you can approach them saying that you perhaps have a website about this particular niche. And if you have some kind of a reader base, traffic stats, sales stats, or something like that, that you can show them to let them know that it's going to be worth their while to contribute that product for free to you, I do believe that you could have some luck with that. Obviously, not everybody would say yes, but I think if you tried 10 or 20 different companies and or vendors on Amazon, I bet you would get a yes at least once in there. I'm going to explore that for the future, Gina. See if I could come up with something a little more definitive that people could use, because I do really like the thought of potentially getting them for free. If you're buying the products themselves, unless it's a product that you are already going to buy for your household or your family or something, you have to consider the number of sales that you're going to have to refer on that product just to recover your investment costs. And ultimately, there's no set number for that because of the Amazon commission structure. You can get anywhere from 4 upwards of 8.5% for most of their normal products. So with a 4% commission, then you would need to sell a product 25 times to actually recover your investment on that. So that's definitely something to consider if you do have to pay for it yourself. And that's also something to consider if you have to try to solicit a product sample from a company or a vendor. You have to be able to give them a good enough return to make it worth their while to give up a product completely for free. Now, the math on that would definitely be a little different. A lot of times the base cost of a product is ideally maybe around a third or so. So if you're looking at a $100 product, company with shipping, might be giving up possibly $35, upwards of $50 by sending you a free $100 product. So you would need to be able to, I would say, at least refer 5 to 10 sales for them to really make it worth their while to actually provide a sample product. So if you could show them some kind of stats to back up the fact that you could do numbers like that and do it on a regular basis, then I do believe you could get companies to go for that. Muhammad is asking if Azon Publisher Studio, the plugin of mine, can be used as an alternate to some of my other plugins. It can be used as an alternate, Muhammad. It's certainly an easier way to go through a website and set up the links. The only drawback to it is the limitations that Amazon actually has with that Publisher Studio system. The main limitation with that is simply that it doesn't work on every single web browser. It does work with most of the more modern web browsers. However, I could almost guarantee that at least some of your website traffic would never see an Amazon affiliate link whatsoever if the only source of those Amazon links was the Azon Publisher Studio plugin. So with that said, I do kind of recommend to use it as kind of a secondary plugin to add in some image affiliate links and or text links throughout your content. Typically though, I go with product style as the main plugin, even if you're doing nothing but just setting up a product ad on a particular page. And then the other plugins like Azon Publisher Studio and Daily Deal Azon and Upsell Azon kind of work as complementary plugins to it to add different features and different types of advertisements to it. So it's certainly a possibility, but just consider that limitation that some of your traffic may be missing out. So try try to put some other link on your page just to be on the safe side. You're quite welcome. Oftentimes, a lot of people either struggle to write the content themselves, or they go for more of an automated approach to their content. These days, I do consider unique content to be a must for an Amazon site if you are depending on Google traffic. However, as far as writing the content, and as far as your site being completely filled with unique content, there is kind of some gray area in there. Your site doesn't necessarily have to be 100% unique content. However, Google should be able to look at your site and see that there is value there that cannot be found on other sites in terms of the exact content that you are offering. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to come up with completely unique information for your unique content. You can go and Google a page about a topic that you want to write about on your website, and you can simply rewrite it in your own words. Read the article, learn the information, and then try to rehash that information out of your mind, putting it into your own words and terminology. That can be one of the easier ways to come up with new content, especially if you don't have in-depth knowledge about a subject that you are actually writing about. Some other tactics that you can use are collecting pictures for a topic and arranging those pictures throughout your page, and then essentially writing about each of the pictures as you progress. Just describe the picture and talk about, how it relates to whatever your subject is about. You're pretty much guaranteed with doing something like that to hit on relevant semantic keywords that will get Google's attention and say, hey, this content is unique, and it's also talking about all these different subjects that are relating to this main topic that it's trying to target. And that also, I guess, brings me to my final point is any page of content that you build on a website, you want to try to gear it towards a specific keyword phrase. It can be really easy to get wrapped up in trying to target a number of different phrases all on one single page of a website, but you'll actually get more of a search ranking benefit if you just try to target one single subject on each. And if you need to talk about a closely relational subject, but it's still different, expand that into content for a second page and link the two together. That way you can kind of gear the titles of your page towards the topic that you're trying to target in terms of the keyword phrase. And then you can have your content on that page relating to that main topic. Now, I guess that also brings me to another point, which is keyword spam. You don't want to overdo your keyword targeting. I consider this to be important on individual pages. For example, if I was going after the search term Amazon affiliates, I would not want to have a page of content where every sentence or every couple of sentences was saying Amazon affiliate this and Amazon affiliate that. I would want to talk about being an Amazon affiliate. I would want to talk about different subjects that relate to that without actually repeating that target phrase over and over and over again. I do want that target phrase to occur in my content, typically in my title, in my first paragraph, and generally in my last paragraph, and maybe even once or twice throughout the rest of the content, depending on how much there is. But beyond that, I want to be talking more about my subject instead of simply repeating what my subject is over and over again. Barbara is asking if I have a service where I would have a quick overview of a site and critique it. For Team Azon Pro members, honestly, don't mind doing that for you. If you would submit a support ticket to ryanstevensonplugins.com/support and just title it Site Review, mention that you're a Team Azon Pro member, and ask if I could take a quick look at it. I'd be more than happy to do that for you. My support staff can make sure that gets passed along to me, and I will take care of those personally. I can also do the same type of thing for other brief but important milestones that you're going to kind of have throughout your site building process. For example, your niche selection is a pretty big one. If you figure out what niche you want to target and maybe the different keyword phrases that you want to try to target on different pages of your site, if you want to run that kind of information by me to see if I think it's a good niche, if it's too broad or too specific, for example, I could likely even point you in the right direction there and maybe save you a lot of work building. For example, if you target a niche that's too broad, you can honestly end up wasting a lot of time building a website and finding that it's not getting Google rankings for the different keyword phrases that you're targeting. It can really come down to whether your niche is specific enough. You're quite welcome, Barbara. More than happy to help. Mohammed is asking, in domain names, how do hyphens affect? I'm assuming you're talking about like if you're trying to get an exact match domain name where your domain is your keyword phrase. Okay. While I still consider exact match domains to be useful in some manner, I definitely recognize that you do not have to use them anymore. So in that regard, I don't think having a hyphen in your domain name would be a major drawback. But a lot of times, I would really recommend to kind of go for a bit of a combination with a branded domain name and a exact match domain name, where you're basically taking a main word or two out of your targeted keyword phrase and combining it with something unique that's not part of your keyword phrase to come up with your branded domain. It makes your domain name hunting a lot easier, first of all, and you still get some benefit from having those relational words in your domain name. For example, if somebody were to search your targeted keyword phrase for the site, at least a word or two of that's going to still be in your domain. So you do get some partial benefit from that. And considering Google's not giving as much benefit to exact match domains in general anymore, especially not compared to what they used to, then I certainly think it's a good trade-off. In fact, I even debate these days, I can't say this for sure, but I suspect that it might even be a little easier to get faster rankings in Google using a branded domain now as opposed to using an exact match domain. It's almost as though they kind of, it's not like they penalize exact match domains, but it's almost like they kind of keep a closer eye on them. They look to see if that exact match domain is simply trying to go after that one keyword phrase, or if there's any other real meaning to it. Yes, they certainly know the exact match domain name trick. Now, I don't believe they can get rid of a exact match domain name benefit completely, because there are plenty of times when people are searching on Google for a word or a keyword phrase, and they actually want the .com website for that exact phrase. And a great example of this is any real brand name, any company name for that matter. Typically, you will have that company having a exact match domain for whatever their brand is. But their brand, since it is often a national brand, it is a keyword phrase that people are searching. So like Dell.com, for example. Somebody might not exactly know that Dell's website is Dell.com, and so they might go over to Google and type in Dell. And you're guaranteed to get Dell up at the top of it. Now, if they completely penalized exact match domain names, this wouldn't be possible and would obviously cause major chaos in the search results for Google and for simply people that are searching. So in that regard, I think they can never get rid of it completely, but I do think that they can say, okay, what is this keyword phrase consisting of? Is this a real brand, or is somebody just trying to go after a general keyword phrase? And I can't really say for sure how they would come to that kind of conclusion, deciding whether it is a real branded name or not. They might use the dictionary, for all I know, and simply say, if your domain consists of nothing but normal words, then it might at least be a possibility that you're trying to use the exact match domain trick. And so they might still not completely penalize you, but they might simply keep a closer eye on that site and try to look at more of the outlying information. I'm sure that can't be the entire aspect to their algorithm, whether, the exact match domain is a branded domain or not. However, just my 2 cents on that, and from my own personal experiences using them over the years, I still have a lot of exact match domains that had great rankings years ago and still have great rankings to this day. But with a lot of my newer sites that I have built over the last, I would say, 2 years or so, it seems like my branded domain names get rankings faster than my exact match domains. Not to say that they end up with more powerful rankings necessarily. It's just kind of a trade-off sometimes with what you want to target. Ultimately, though, if your content on your site, the content on all of your pages, if it surrounds a single topic, Google will recognize that despite what your domain name is. You can name your domain name something completely non-relational to what your website is really about, and you can still get rankings for what your site is actually about as opposed to what your domain name is. So it's definitely not everything, and I certainly wouldn't let it kind of stall out your site building process trying to find an exact match domain. Just try to come up with some kind of unique combination of a exact match domain and a branded domain, get the .com for it, and move on. And go for a shorter domain as opposed to a more keyword-rich domain. Also believe shorter domains, the less characters in your domain name, the better. Gina is asking, how many websites do you need to build before you start to see some profits? You can make decent money off of just one website. The way I build my sites, like downcomforterguide.com, makes about $50 to $75 a month or so. Some of my higher priced electronics websites, some of them are doing upwards of $200 a month, even more, and per website. If you're building multiple sites and you're still not seeing profits, or really if you're still not seeing Google traffic yet, I would really look at your niche choices and your keyword selections and ask yourself if they might still be too broad, or possibly if there simply may just be too much competition out there. Search for one of your target keyword phrases. It might be the main target keyword phrase for your entire site, or it might be a keyword phrase that you're trying to target on an individual page or something, and go through the Google results manually and try to find yourself and see where you are. You want to be in the top 10 pages or so. If you can find yourself in the top 10 pages within maybe 2 months or so of building your website, then you should be in a decent position to either sit back and wait and those rankings may improve on their own, or by doing a little more building onto the site, you might be able to then bump up those rankings. For example, if you're on page 5 for a keyword phrase, try expanding that page, adding even more content, maybe even add a couple sub-pages to that page, and see if you can get your rankings boosted up. However, if you're picking really closely defined niches from the get-go, and you're going after lower competition keyword phrases, you should find that just my general approach that I teach in Azon Masterclass 1, you should be able to get a site with Google rankings and referring Amazon sales just off of building that 20-page website without any additional work to it. And a lot of times you can even bypass all the marketing work as well. Just building the website, as long as it's targeting the right kind of niche and the right kind of keyword phrases, you can generally get some decent traffic off of those. Down Comforter Guide, again, really hasn't had any changes to it in a year and a half, except for the recent update lessons that I did, where I just really went through and made changes to one of the pages on the site that the page that was getting the most traffic on it, the IKEA comforter page. Beyond that one change, I haven't made any adjustments to that site in a year and a half, and it still sits there. Even now that Christmas is past, it's still chugging along $50 to $75 a month. So it wasn't even a holiday season fluke. It is more seasonally inclined towards the winter than it is the summer. Sales definitely decline on that site during the summer months. So sometimes you have to ask yourself, is it the right time for my site to be popular right now? You sometimes have to look a little deeper into it to figure out if it's the niche or the keywords that you picked. If you're getting a lot of traffic but you're not getting any Amazon sales, it might be the products that you've selected. Maybe the ad placement isn't correct. So just try to figure out where your whole approach is falling short in terms of, is it not getting the rankings? Is it not getting the traffic? Is it not getting the traffic to the right parts of the site? Is it not getting that traffic along to Amazon to convert into commissions? And once you identify kind of where that whole process is stalling out, it can give you a better indication as to what exactly might be wrong with your whole approach. If you do have multiple websites that you've built already and you're really not getting any traffic or decent Google rankings at all so far, if you would want to contact me through the support system and just send me a couple of links to your existing websites, I might be able to identify, a main cause, like wrong keywords or too broad of a niche selection, etc. Thank you, Mohammed. Ahmed says I'm his favorite teacher, and he's never learned so much than in the last month by going through my stuff. Ooh, yes. What's coming up for Team Azon Pro members? I'm actually really close to having a new plugin ready for you guys called Azon Exit Cache. And this is going to show an exit pop-up on a WordPress website, which will then be loaded with some Amazon ads. This is a tactic that I've taught and shown before, but when I taught it previously, you had to piece it all together manually. You used a free plugin that was out there. You build your Amazon ads manually through one of my plugins, and then you piece it all together. Well, that free plugin solution that I used to recommend for that, it stopped working correctly in Firefox. I'm not sure if it was the recent Firefox update or the recent WordPress updates that did it exactly. But I wanted to simplify the whole process and make it easy for everybody to do, because it has been really effective on my own Amazon sites. I've found I can usually boost sales by 50 to 100% or so on any given Amazon site by simply adding the exit ads onto it, because it's typically traffic that's going to be leaving your website. And while some people find the exit ads offending, ultimately those people that are leaving your site are likely never going to come back again. So I definitely think that it's worth that last shot at trying to sell them something. So I kind of presented in a deal manner. Wait, before you go, take a look at these great deals on Amazon. And, the plugin is designed to let you just punch in a keyword phrase, and it'll automatically pull up some of the best deals on that particular keyword phrase in terms of the biggest percentage discount or the lowest prices, There's a few different options in there you can choose from. And it also goes a little further with my previous recommended strategy, where the way I previously taught for it to work, it would use just one page for the entire website. And while you can do that with this new plugin, it's also designed to allow you to basically have a different exit page for different sections of your site, or even for individual pages of your site. So, for example, I could take my IKEA Down Comforter page on downcomforterguide.com, and I could load up an exit page of nothing but IKEA products relating to comforters and bedding. And I could only have that exit page show up when people close down the IKEA page. So I could kind of target my exit pages to different parts of my site using the plugin as well. So I think it's really going to be an even better solution than the one that I've previously taught and personally used myself with a lot of really great results. So I'm hoping to have that done by the end of the month. I'm really kind of going through some final testing on it now, and then I have some initial beta testing for it to do, beyond myself, where I send it off to a few different people to get them to try it out and try to break it if they can. And as long as everything checks out good, then it'll get released to Team Azon Pro members immediately after it clears beta testing. And then will be publicly released probably towards the end of April. You guys will get it probably 3 to 4 weeks early or so. Beyond that, I'm continuing with additional training. I have another Azon Masterclass 3 lesson coming up, and what else did I have planned for this month? A new traffic approach that I'm going to be showing you guys, where you're not really depending on Google to be sending you direct traffic anymore. It's kind of a leeching off of another high PR website approach. And that should be also in the next week or so. Nope, not Facebook, not social media. It's not any of the normal stuff that you may have never even heard of it. Yes, some new thing. It should be something that falls in line with the Amazon sites and the approach that we are generally trying to take with these types of websites, and should also provide a additional source of targeted traffic as well. So I'll try not to reveal too much about it. I think this one's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, Muhammad, you really can do that. Make the same kind of websites for ClickBank products. And honestly, not even limited to just Amazon or ClickBank. The same principles with how I build sites, especially Azon Masterclass 1. You can gear that towards pretty much anything, any niche, and any affiliate network. So you can try to go after things like ClickBank products. Now, if you've never tried to promote digital products before, things off of ClickBank or JVZoo or Warrior Plus or something like that, especially if they are marketing related at all. It can really be kind of hard to get started, and you might look at a product that's selling great on ClickBank and then you send traffic to it and you get nothing at all from it. That's typically because you have basically another circle of product developers on ClickBank where they're making products and they have affiliates that are promoting for them. And a lot of those people will be offering bonuses and stuff to go along with it, and they'll have newsletters that they're promoting the links to, whereas opposed to if you're building a website and you're sending targeted traffic off of Google, essentially cold traffic, over to take a look at the offers, you end up with much lower conversion rates as a result. So definitely keep that in mind. Don't chalk it up to the product is bad or maybe that your approach is wrong, but some of the stats on digital products will be inflated because you have affiliates promoting them with email marketing and bonus offers and things of that nature. So, but yeah, my tactics can really be used for building any kind of a website. I like Amazon. It has some positives and some negatives for both me and honestly I think for pretty much anybody out there. Sure, the commissions are low. The percentages are definitely low, especially when you look at other affiliate networks that are out there. However, you definitely have to consider what you're promoting. I think it is a lot easier to take cold traffic off of Google, get it to your website, and to send it off to another website. I think it's a lot easier to sell a physical product than it is to sell a digital product in that manner. And you also have to consider the person that's actually selling the product, the profit margins that lie behind it. When you're promoting something on Amazon that actually has to be ordered and shipped to their location, and then they have to package it up and ship it out to the customer, you have a lot more costs, overhead costs associated with your physical goods. And so ultimately that's why you're getting a percentage like 4 to 8.5% off of an Amazon product, whereas you can go to ClickBank and maybe get 50% for the product. But that's because the developer of the ClickBank product has little to no overhead for their product. Whether they sell 1,000 copies or 10 copies, it basically costs them the same thing. So they offer much higher commissions to try to incentivize those product sales, making room for people to do things like bonus offers and things of that nature. So, marketing is a bit of a complicated industry like that. You kind of have to think of things kind of how they work behind the scenes before you, jump to fast conclusions about anything. But yeah, I mean, once you take this Amazon approach and try it out and feel confident with being able to reproduce it, then, I would certainly recommend to try out something different just to see how it compares for you. Try going after, some kind of a digital market on ClickBank, or even try combining. For example, you could take an Amazon niche website that's promoting various products, and you might be able to find some kind of a digital product off of ClickBank that goes along with it. Fitness would be one particular niche where that would definitely be true. You could refer physical products off of Amazon that relate to a digital training course that's available off of ClickBank, for example, and promote both of them side by side. So there's definitely nothing wrong with trying to mix and match things like that. Just try to not blindly approach it, I guess.